Hello, welcome to Tuesday's show. I'm Al Booth. I hope you're well. Thank you for being here. This is what's coming up for you today. We're going to be hearing from the newly appointed Reform Cabinet member who says he genuinely doesn't know about existing regional relationships or priorities.
Are you aware of if it's currently a good relationship? How is it going to go moving forward?
I have no idea, genuinely. So I have no idea.
Well, that's going to kick off a part one that's filled with politics, as we also look more closely at some of the policies recently set out by Reform. The party is promising no cuts at the County Council, which could stay at County Hall permanently, and it will also bring a Department of Government efficiencies to find cash savings. We're going to have all that for you shortly. Plus, we'll be hearing how police body-worn video cameras are helping supermarkets and cafes to stay alert in part of Notts.
They were identified issues at Heron Foods in Newark. They were having a lot of issues with the youths going in and out in large groups, causing members of the public and staff the harassment, alarm and distress.
Later on, we're also going to be catching up with our resident starman, Dr. Dan Brown, so you can see what sights will be above your head in the skies very soon. We'll be talking about spotting Uranus and Venus together, the heart of the Milky Way, and a supermassive black hole. We may also touch on UFOs as well. Loads there. In sport, we'll hear the first interview with new Notts County head coach Martin Patterson after he was announced as the new boss at Meadow Lane.
A unique club. And I say that in a positive aspect where the owners are very clear what they want, and what we had, I believe, is instant alignment on that.
There you go, first time I've said his name and I got it wrong. Sorry, Martin. We'll have all that and loads more coming up just for you. First though, newly appointed Reform Nottinghamshire County Council Cabinet member James Walker Gurley says he genuinely doesn't know about existing regional relationships or priorities. He made the admission in an interview with Notts TV last week, and since then it's gained quite a bit of traction on social media. Lucy Marshall has got more.
Are you aware of if it's currently a good relationship? How is it going to go moving forward?
I have no idea, genuinely. So I have no idea.
This was the moment that Councillor James Walker Gurley found himself lost for words over the relationship status of Nottinghamshire County Council and the East Midlands Combined County Authority. The Combined Authority, or EMCA, is a regional body responsible for economic growth. Nottinghamshire County Council has been a member since it launched last year. Councillor Walker Gurley, who's paid around £42,000 per year for his roles as a councillor and cabinet member, is responsible for working with other authorities across EMCA. Last week, we were invited to County Hall to interview him about the relationship.
How do you see the relationship with EMCA moving forward? Take a minute if you need.
Sorry. I don't know what to say to that. Yeah, working closely with them.
How is it going to go moving forward?
I have no idea, genuinely. So I have no idea. I've not met with anyone from EMCA yet, genuinely, so I have no idea.
The interview has since amassed over 1 million views on social media and has prompted responses from political figures such as Alistair Campbell and Robert Jenrick. The relationship's other half, East Midlands Mayor Claire Ward, also responded to clear a few things up. During the interview, Councillor Walker Gurley listed the administration's priorities from a piece of paper, one of which he stressed was of particular importance.
We've got a major road network scheme which will see a number of junctions along the route being upgraded with the aim of reducing congestion at key intersections, and that is the A614 A6097 major road network scheme. We'll be providing more traffic capacity for the future. It will support economic growth and housing delivery in the local area and enhance the strategic road network and support other road users by improving facilities for pedestrians and cyclists.
Okay, so from your standpoint, what would you say one of the top ones of those is for residents?
Ollerton roundabout for sure.
How so?
I don't know. It just needs fixing.
For now, getting to grips with the new role is a genuine learning curve for the Cabinet member, both in practice and on paper. Lucy Marshall for Notts TV.
Right, thanks Lucy. We'll stick with reform now because this week the party has been setting out some of its priorities and policies at Nottinghamshire County Council. It's been 8 weeks since the election victory and now we've heard there'll be no cuts. The council will bring in a Department of Government Efficiencies, or DOGE, to find savings, and the plan moved out of County Hall could be off the cards as well. Our local democracy reporter Lauren Monaghan has been following this story and is here to tell us more. Lauren, so DOGE, and let's talk about that. It's a big thing under Trump in the USA. How does it sit with Nottinghamshire County Council?
Yeah, so for anyone that might be watching that might not know, but they've probably heard this term a lot. So it's DOGE, it stands for Department of Government Efficiency. And as you rightly said, it's an initiative started under President Donald Trump's administration in the United States. It was previously headed by Elon Musk, again another name that most people have heard. And it looks at reducing government spending, so it basically aims to see if they can take money that's being overspent in another area and put it into another one. And DOGE, they are coming to Nottinghamshire County Council. This has been confirmed, and the leader confirmed to me the other day that they'll be doing it free of charge and basically helping the new authority, helping the new reformed councillors look at its finances to save money.
Okay, so what's the council said about the efficiencies then?
Yeah, so I was at the first cabinet meeting yesterday, and this is where Councillor Mick Barton, he said that a full review into the council's financial management, procurement and contracts will take place over the summer. So when they've been looking at their finances, it's currently indicating an £18.5 million gap over around the next 3 years. And there was talks again and in the documents that they're going to be drawing on these external enterprises. And what that basically means, that would cover DOGE. And there was also in the documents something called Invest to Save. So this is where councils can invest in a scheme or something to try and find savings or return some money elsewhere. And when I spoke to the leader last week, he said that residents do not need to worry about any service cuts, because I brought this up to him with the new authority and their new efficiency plans. It might cause some concerns for residents about services that have been there and done quite well, what the future is for those. But he said that residents don't need to worry.
Okay. What's the opposition said?
Yeah, so the previous Conservative administration, they were always very proud. They had a proud Tory track record, as we would call it. So this is the libraries. So they were quite proud that the libraries were all protected and enhanced, that there was new schools that had been built and extended, that there was recycling centres that had been enhanced, so good social care as well that they referred to, and this includes adult social care as well, and that their youth services have been maintained. If we look at other councils and other authorities elsewhere, adult social care and things like youth services haven't always been maintained. And they've invested £72 million into the road and pavements. But Councillor Sam Smith, he's the previous Conservative leader, he said that residents have been worried. They've expressed worry about the future of these services that the Conservatives, the previous Conservative administration, were quite proud that they'd maintained. And yesterday in the cabinet meeting there was a Tory councillor as well that said he had concerns for the Invest to Save scheme, so he wanted some transparency on that. He actually asked the cabinet if they can offer any sort of transparency over anything they plan with Invest to Save.
Okay. What other updates have there been? What did we say? It's 8 weeks since it all changed hands, isn't it? What are the other updates?
Yeah, so also confirmed yesterday, aside with the full review into the finances, is a highways review. So they've confirmed that as well. So they've confirmed 2 separate reviews going on. There's a £400 million backlog into the roads and pavements. So this review is going to assess that, where they can put money into that. And it's also been said that they'll be looking at these long-term repairs more, not just short-term fixes that break quite easily. They're going to be looking more into these long-term repairs. Both of these reviews, I think they're looking at starting them this week, all over the summer, with an aim to get them rounded off by the early autumn, because early autumn is where councils start to plan their budgets. It's very early, but they start to look at where that money's going. And then with County Hall, so the previous Labour group, a part of the previous Conservative administration, they put forward an amendment if they was to get into power in May, that they would sell Oak House. So Oak House is the new council's headquarters that they moved into up near Hucknall. They put forward an amendment that they would look to sell that. At the moment, they cannot confirm or deny. There's other news reports that may say differently to that, but to me, not confirmed or denied. But there's opportunities with both buildings.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on that, as well as with Allerton Roundabout, because we know it needs fixing. Right, in other Notts News headlines, police investigating a potential murder in Newark say they've broadened their public appeal for information. The murder probe was launched last week after a man was found injured at the roadside around Lombard Street on Monday, June the 16th. Police believe he was critically hurt in a fight near Albert Street between 4 and 4 p.m. They've asked anyone around Albert Street, Windsor Road or Boundary Road to call them. A 19-year-old man's been arrested on suspicion of murder, but he's been bailed. And a man who attacked his former neighbour after a row over debt has been jailed. 55-year-old Carlton Neville launched an assault on the victim on the stairs of the Norton Street flat where they both lived. He punched him multiple times before stabbing him in the incident on January 22nd. That left him with permanent scarring. Norton denied attempted murder but admitted to wounding with intent at Nottingham Crown Court, where he was jailed for 7.5 years. Right, on the way, we're going to be looking at possibly UFOs and definitely at Uranus and Venus. Hello, welcome back to Tuesday's show. I'm Al Booth. Thank you for being here. Hope you're doing well. This is what is happening in Notts today. Emergency services managed to rescue a person in the canal in Nottingham. Nottinghamshire Fire and Rescue Service attended the incident around Carrington Street along with East Midlands Ambulance Service and the police just after 1 p.m. on Monday. The fire service says 2 crews from London Road and 2 from Highfield Station attended the incident. And the person managed to get themselves out of the canal unaided, and then the incident was handed over to EMAS and the police. And staff at Nottingham's Rock City venue could go on strike in a row over pay and work conditions. Staff at the Talbot Street venue, which is run by the DHP family, have begun unionising with the Unite Union. It says Rock City workers got in touch over disciplinaries and firings, as well as health and safety, a lack of proactive sexual harassment monitoring and bullying. A spokesperson for DHP said it's disappointed these concerns weren't brought forward directly and said it's committed to listening and to working together on the issues. Now, police have provided body-worn video cameras to supermarket and cafe staff, all as part of an ongoing project to prevent and reduce youth-related antisocial behaviour, specifically around Newark. Regular issues have been reported concerning youths in large groups, causing a nuisance as well as damage in hotspot areas. Reports have included youths climbing onto the roofs of shops, throwing stones at buildings, stealing items from shops, being abusive towards staff, and also refusing to leave affected premises when they were asked. Here's why the police think the cameras will help.
We take all incidents of antisocial behaviour very seriously. It impacts everybody's day-to-day life. If they're trying to do the shopping or go out for a coffee with their friends, you do not want to be interrupted by large groups of youths trying to intimidate people and just causing a general nuisance. We identified issues at Heron Foods in Newark. They were having a lot of issues with the youths going in and out in large groups, causing other members of the public and staff the harassment, alarm and distress. So we implemented new body cameras to issue to the staff members that they can wear during their shift times to act as a deterrent, and it gives us that extra evidence that we might need should they commit a crime. We've had really good feedback from both companies that the body cams have been issued to. For example, Heron Foods, they were issued the cameras in November. Since that time I cannot recall of any incident being reported to us since then. It's definitely decreased. We don't want to be arresting young people whatsoever. I mean, if they've committed a crime, we will deal with that, but it will be proportionate and we'll make sure that they're dealt with in the correct way. Building the relationships with these young people is really important. I think if they learn to trust us and work with us, because then they'll see that we are actually trying to help them and encourage them to make better choices.
Right, moving on now. It's time for another great guest on the show, and of course, it's that time of the month to catch up with our resident starman, Dr. Dan Brown. He's here to talk through catching Uranus and Venus, all about the centre of the Milky Way as well, and a supermassive black hole. Also, UFOs, but they're not called that anymore, but Dan will explain why very shortly. Hi, Dan.
Hello. Yeah. Shorter nights, but at least stuff to see in the sky, which is always good.
Makes your job easier as well, doesn't it, really? If there's stuff to see.
Yeah, it does. And the weather seems to be strangely better now as well, as in sometimes during the springtime. So, if the nights get too hot or muggy, people tend to wake up earlier, and it's a good chance to pop outside at the beginning of the morning, 3:30 or early on, just before the sun is rising, and you have a chance to capture our morning star, Venus. So that's beautifully now up in the sky in the morning, becoming better and better visible. Not necessarily because it's further away from the sun, just because of the season and how the ecliptic is high in the sky. It's really nice to spot that, and using that, you can see next to it what's called the Seven Sisters, or most commonly Pleiades, a group of stars, and in between, nestled in there, is Uranus, one of our further gas giants. Not something you can see with the naked eye that easily at all. Binoculars, small telescopes will give you sort of an olive greeny kind of dot, and having the Pleiades and Venus there gives you a really good pointer to get to there. That little diagram helps you to spot it, so chase that one down and you'll be blessed. 3:30, you think horrible, on the 1st of July, over the sky whizzes the International Space Station. So I've plotted that in there. If you head out just before, you can see just before 3:30, it'll start its swift move, and within 10 minutes it's crossed the entire sky. And if that isn't amazing enough, you can be blessed by the time of the year which gives you the best view of the Milky Way. So it is really a good time. We alluded a little bit to that last month, but I thought I'll point that out a bit more. So you can now hunt down classic constellations like Cygnus, Lyra, and Aquila. These three brighter stars in there give you what's called the summer triangle, and they all are nestled well within this milky patch. If you've got some darker skies, in the city will be challenging, but outer parts, suburban areas where you get a bit of darkness and get your eyes adjusted to that, you'll be able to see that milky band stretching quite substantially over the sky. And this time of year will give you that chance to now see the scent of our Milky Way, the bulge with a big clump of stars and more dust, and that's all in and around the constellation of Sagittarius, which in its host looks a bit like a teapot. You can just see it dipping above the horizon. That's the highest it will get around here. So this is really the best time to see it. And just nestled to the right of that, you can see in my diagram, is what's called Sagittarius A star. Doesn't seem fascinating, but if you pick out that patch in the sky, you're looking towards the very core, very center of our own Milky Way, and that's called is here Sagittarius A star, and it's called a supermassive black hole. So it's really fascinating. I put that little diagram in there. Initially it looks boring, just some circles, until you realize that is the entire path of a few stars they have done once around the core of our own galaxy. Wow. And I work so well within 10 years once around because they're so close. The bigger patch that's in there gives you roughly an idea of our solar system. So it is an unbelievable amount of stuff, easily a few million times more massive than our sun, in this tiny little area. Wow. And with the connection of loads of different telescopes, we've managed to actually image that little bit that's inside. Really fascinating that we can actually get some kind of an image of it.
My favourite thing about that is that scientists have come up with the name supermassive black hole, which is not a scientific name. Let's talk about UFOs, because we can't call them UFOs now, can we?
No, they're usually referred to as UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena. So making sure that it doesn't mean that it's a flying or a real object. So it can be anything that we can't explain hovering around and being visible. And I've brought that up because, believe it or not, the 2nd of July is the World Awareness Day for UFOs, where we will, and I'll try to remember this, raise awareness of the undoubted existence of UFOs or UAPs. Now, I have to be a bit more skeptical. They are actually not really there, I would say. Extraterrestrial life, I do think exists. It's just so much much out there, but there's so many other phenomena that can trick us into thinking these are real little green men that are coming down to visit us. Some that I'll just throw out there are the classic ones, SpaceX and their rocket exhausts. We've seen that in the past month or so over the UK, but what's also really cool is Venus, for example. Morningstar, very low, you can spot it, or the International Space Station, which I just showed you how it zooms across. If you don't know it, people might think these are UFOs.
Wow.
Keep your eyes peeled and see what's out there.
It's fantastic. Thank you, Dan. As ever, some spooky sights can be seen around Nottingham, mainly outside the Talbot on a Saturday night. But right, let's move on to sport now, shall we? Thanks, Dan. We'll start with Notts County. The club recently announced Martin Patterson as their new head coach. He takes over from former head coach Stuart Maynard. Patterson's a former Burton Albion head coach. He was also assistant to Michael Duff at 3 EFL clubs and Phil Neville at David Beckham's Inter Miami. He'll be joined by Andy Edwards and Sam Slocum, who are taking up key coaching roles in his backroom team. In a new interview, Patterson says he's excited to begin working with the talented squad at Meadow Lane.
The unique club, and I say that in a positive aspect, where the owners are very clear what they want. They want people to do things in a certain way, use certain things for recruitment, play football in a certain way. And what we had, I believe, is instant alignment on that. And I think when you have alignment, you can be successful. I was very honest in my interviews about how I see football. I was very honest about what I think I can confidently add. I was also very confident about things that have happened in the past where I've made mistakes. And the key thing for me is to learn from them and put it into practice and it be beneficial for the football club.
Now in ice hockey, there's a new face at the Motorpoint Arena. Nottingham Panthers have confirmed forward Finlay Ulrich has joined. The 25-year-old played his hockey previously at Sheffield Steelers and said he's excited by what's been built under Danny Stewart's leadership, especially after last season's playoff win.
Had a couple of conversations with Omar, with Danny as well, and it just seemed to be a great fit for me in terms of obviously how I play and what they were looking for. And obviously I've heard great things about the club with my time in Manchester and obviously in Sheffield as well, playing in the arena, hearing the crowd, hearing the noise, and just buzzing to be a part of it. Yeah, 100%. I mean, obviously the trajectory that Nottingham have been on and are on and currently is pretty amazing to watch, and you know, to be able to be joining up and be a part of it is a great honour. So.
Right, time for a look at your picture of the day now. Some beautiful fields with poppies from Helen Green in Papplewick. Thank you for sharing that, Helen. Right, let's look at your weather now. And today has been a warm one. Tonight it's going to be fairly muggy overnight, 16 degrees. Tomorrow we're going to see a bit less sun, but still highs of 25, so a nice warm one. And then on Thursday, the sun peeks its head out again. We are going to get a bit of cloud, but sunshine, highs of 23 degrees, dropping to 15 degrees overnight. So, as I say, dead muggy is the evening, really. Right, thanks for being with me tonight. Mark Dennison is back with you tomorrow at the usual time of 5:30 for all your Notts news. I shall see you soon. Enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.